Alrighty, you ready to get started?
Okay. I think so. I think I'm good. You can hear me, I can hear you, so I'm ready to go.
Okay, perfect. All right, so my name is Kendra Pennington, and I am the area rep for SC for Ed for Horry County. And I just was the one who happened to host this Q&A. So first, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and just talk about your platform.
Okay. My name is Wes Cox. And I represent South Carolina House District 10. Right County. I jumped ahead a second. I sort of represent, for the purposes of this, three different school district areas. I represent Anderson School, part of Greenville County. So I have three different school areas that I represent and try to stay in front of. I am finishing. I'm a lawyer by trade and do that as my day job in Williamston, small town. Grew up in Williamston, live in Powdersville now. It's sort of the main area that I was. Just a little bit of an education background for me. I went through public school all the way through school, from elementary all the way to law school. I went to school district 1 schools for middle and high school, graduated, went to Clemson University for 3.5 years, and then worked, and then went to law school at the University of South Carolina. After I finished that, I came started, and in 2017 decided I want to run for the legislature. Got elected in 2018, and here we are trying to go for another term.
Perfect. So next says I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and then I think that's it. And then if there's still additional time, you can add whatever. So the first question is, what is your opinion of the state of public education in South Carolina today?
I think the opinion that is sort of broadly put out is a lot different than what's going on in our school. The teachers that are in there, they're trying hard. I think there are a lot of improvements that need to be made and can be made from a burdensome level issues. Let's get rid of the bureaucracy that they have to go through so they can spend more time teaching and doing things. I think with the current the kids are in, but let's let them teach and not necessarily be testing all the time and doing things like that, and that can lead to better schools. Pass some bills that'll get rid of testing that we have control over on the state level, and then there's not really anything we can do on state level about the federal schools in at least where I represent in Pickens County and Greenville County and Anderson County. They're good schools. People go to Clemson and get good educations. I mean, there's good educations that can be had. Statewide, there's certainly a lot of work that we have bad schools, and I don't necessarily think that's true.
Great. Okay, the next question is, if elected, what would be the first step you would take to improve public education?
So if reelected, one thing I think we've got to make sure we do is continue we've done that over the last 2 years. Well, last year we had a significant increase in teacher salaries. This year we started to do that, and then then hopefully the economy's going to bounce back, and we can do that again. I think that's number one. Number two is better environment for children in the schools. You know, we've done that. We've helped increase the safety, funding resource officers in there. And there's some things that other places are doing. They're looking at a holistic approach to a child's education. Okay, they come in here, we got them for 6 or 7 hours a day, and let's take a whole districts to run with programs and do that, freeing up funding for them. So if we're not spending money buying tests and teaching and running tests through the different approaches. So that's from a student standpoint, or from a kid standpoint. From a standpoint of teachers, you know, more likely they're going to want to stand around or stay around. That's a career, those types of things. As far as recruiting new teachers, what Greenville County to implement a program wherein if you decide, okay, I want to be a teacher and I'm in 10th grade, you can go ahead and start working towards that, so that and so, you know, you may not be making 60 grand walking out of college, but you also don't have 100 grand in debt because you started 2 years early. Across the state, that would certainly be great, you know, and we can do that. You know, it's a little bit difficult to go into a college and say, okay, you're going to offer this for your education program. You're going to have to figure out a way to offer this program with our local school districts and that sort of thing to make it better. We've also got to doing that. We also, in the past 2 years, we put money towards freezing college tuition to help keep in-state tuition lower. 6 grand a year. It's not as burdensome, you know, because they don't have as much debt. So it's sort of a multifaceted approach from the teacher standpoint to getting is staying in the profession. On the local level, you know, just freeing up those districts to implement some of these policies and do those types of things.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next question is, if reelected, what would you do to address the funding of public education?
Yeah, so what we've got now is really sort of an inequitable system, and it's really based off of how good the, you know, ultimately your main school operating costs, which can drive down the ability, is based off of Act 388. Your smaller occupied properties. And so where you look at the areas where we've got funding inequities in state, it's where there are bad economies, where there's not necessarily we've got to reevaluate the way we fund schools. And I know that the Board of Economic Advisors as we passed the budget, we had a $1.8 billion surplus that we thought we were going to have, and nobody really wanted to talk about how things weren't inequitable when you so we've got to look at other things to help build out the economies in those places where we've got inequitable things. You know, the for water infrastructure in those communities? No, they don't. So nobody's going to move there because they don't have clean water. Do they have things that make it attractive to employers? Don't have water that's in those areas. So if you can start building those things out and spending money there, then maybe those will become more popular more attractive. And this is sort of an economic issue from, okay, our current funding. If we can't change anything, then we got to build out the economies in these other areas. But from a standpoint of, okay, where can we make the most impact? I think it's building out wherein they're coming in. So now you got those places attractive. It's not as unattractive for a new teacher walking out or a teacher that's been to work. I'll go to this county and teach these kids. But if you've got a teacher who walks out of school, she goes there or he goes there, can't get a job in that community, they're going to move to Rock Hill or they're going to move to Anderson or Greenville. And so we've got to do that to help build out those inequities in our school system.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
And then the last question is, in your opinion, what would a successful accountability system for education in South Carolina look like?
You know, when legislature had passed the House Omnibus Education Reform Act, and for good or bad, it passed in 4 different teacher town halls, and we met with the teachers of the year. We met with all types to us about this, and we kept hearing the school report cards. The school report cards are awful. They're designed to be bad. You know, accountability system looks like, you know, if we're, you know, if it's graduation rates or reading levels or what, I think it's got to be built on in different factors. Graduation rates would be good. We've got to look at, you know, one of the things that's really kind of surprised me, this is on topic, but it's not student leave our schools. And so there's not a lot of data to show, okay, this person went to alternative school for a year and they came back, and there's not any real tracking of that. And so we've got to do that. And I think the accountability is, okay, did that kid walk in first grade? Was he able to read and do those types of things or not? And was he capable to meet the curriculum standards is really a specialized question. But yeah, can somebody walk into this school in first grade and be prepared to walk out in 12th grade, you know, this 12th grade and get a job and walk into a job and be prepared for that job and be a functioning 30 and 40 years ago they probably didn't have to deal with. So it's not necessarily okay, we're going to give this criteria and we're going to slap an A on this school. But I look at that with school boards and do that and say, you know, okay, this school needs help in this area, and they should be able to allocate resources and things for that on a local level.
Absolutely. Okay, well, those are all the questions that we have. This is going to be uploaded to YouTube probably tonight, and
Okay.
and it will probably be on SC. It'll be on SC for Ed's YouTube, and we'll probably put the link
Okay.
out, I think, on our website. But that is it. I appreciate you so much taking your time out to talk to us.
Okay. Absolutely. Where do you teach? If You don't mind me asking?
I'm in Horry County at Myrtle Beach Middle School.
Okay. Well, thank you.